Welcome back, everyone. Tonight's story takes us into the heart of a chilling mystery that will make you think twice about wandering alone. If you're new here, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss one of our terrifying tales. Tonight's story is about a hiker who ventured too far into the unknown and found something or someone that was already watching. Sit back, turn off the lights, and prepare for the watcher in the woods. Alex was an experienced hiker. He loved the serenity of the trails, the crisp air of the mountains, and the freedom of being far from civilization. One weekend, he decided to explore a less popular route deep within Black Hollow National Park. The trail was said to be overgrown and rarely traveled, but for Alex, that only made it more appealing. The first day was uneventful. The trail was rugged but manageable, winding through dense forests that seemed untouched by time. Alex felt at peace. By nightfall, he set up his tent near a small clearing and fell asleep to the soothing sounds of crickets and rustling leaves. But something woke him in the middle of the night. At first, he thought it was an animal, a deer or maybe a fox. But as he lay still, listening intently, he realized the sound was off. It wasn't the rustling of an animal moving through the brush. It was deliberate, rhythmic, almost like footsteps. Slow, heavy, and they were getting closer. Alex unzipped his tent just enough to peer outside. The forest was pitch black, illuminated only by the faint glow of the moon filtering through the trees. He saw nothing, but the sound of footsteps stopped, leaving an eerie silence in its place. He waited for what felt like hours, his heart pounding, but nothing else happened. Eventually, he convinced himself it was just his imagination and went back to sleep. The next morning, Alex noticed something strange outside his tent. The ground, which had been undisturbed the night before, was marked with deep impressions. Footprints, large ones. They didn't look like they belonged to any animal he knew of. They were too wide, too human-like, but the toes were elongated, almost claw-like. Alex brushed it off, telling himself it was probably an animal after all. He packed up his gear and continued on the trail. As the day went on, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. The woods felt different, quieter, darker. He'd been on countless hikes before, but this was the first time he felt unwelcome. Every rustle of leaves, every snapping twig made him stop and look around, but he never saw anything. Still, the sensation of eyes boring into his back never left. By late afternoon, he came across something that stopped him in his tracks. A clearing filled with strange wooden structures. They were crudely built, almost like shelters, but they were far too small for a person to use. The wood was tied together with old rotting rope, and symbols were carved into the trees surrounding the clearing. Symbols Alex didn't recognize. At the center of the clearing was something even more unsettling. A crude effigy, a humanoid figure made of sticks and bound together with vines. Its head was a hollow circle, like a twisted wreath, and it seemed to lean toward him as if watching. Alex felt a chill run down his spine. He took a few photos with his phone and quickly moved on, eager to put distance between himself and whatever this was. By the time Alex realized he was lost, the sun was already setting. The trail seemed to twist and turn in ways it hadn't before, and his GPS had stopped working entirely. Panic began to set in as darkness crept through the forest. He quickened his pace, hoping to find some landmark, but the only thing he found was more trees, more shadows. And then he heard it again. The footsteps. This time, they were faster, heavier, and unmistakably following him. Alex broke into a run, his heart pounding as he tore through the underbrush. He didn't look back. He didn't dare. But he could feel it. The presence of something large and fast closing in on him. He burst into a clearing, desperate for a place to hide. But what he saw stopped him dead in his tracks. It was the same clearing from before, with the wooden structures and the effigy. But now, the effigy wasn't leaning, it was standing upright. Its hollow head seemed to follow him as he moved, and the carved symbols on the trees glowed faintly in the dark. Alex stumbled backward, his breathing ragged. The footsteps stopped, and the forest went silent. And then, from the shadows, something stepped forward. It was tall, impossibly tall, its limbs too long, its movements too fluid. Its face, if you could call it that, was a hollow void, just like the effigy. And it wasn't alone. From the edges of the clearing, more figures emerged, each one as twisted and unnatural as the last. They moved slowly, deliberately, surrounding him. Alex tried to scream, but no sound came out. The last thing he saw before the world went black was the hollow figure reaching for him, its claw-like fingers inches from his face. Thank you for watching tonight's chilling tale. If this story left you feeling uneasy, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more terrifying tales. Have you ever felt like you were being watched? Let us know in the comments. And remember, the next time you're out in the woods, be careful what you stumble upon. It might just be watching you. Until next time, stay safe and keep the lights on.